Diego, hello. Thank you for being
Hello.
here today.
Thank you for
Where are
having
you,
me.
where are you located right now? Where are you?
I'm in San Francisco. It's a beautiful morning, so the lighting in the room is nice. Good timing for a
Excellent.
video call.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in Seattle and probably experiencing the same weather pattern. It's nice here as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, it's an exciting day here at the WebXR Developer Summit, and I really appreciate you being here to talk to us about AFrame and your experience on the immersive web in general. I
hmm
know that a lot of people look to you as one of the original people working in this space, in this sort of wave of the immersive web that we're experiencing right now. So hearing your perspective on where we are today and where we're going to tomorrow is great. I saw recently that you are working on T-shirt designs for the community.
Oh yeah.
What's going on with that?
Yeah. We have to find ways to make the project sustainable, and I always trying to find ways to to make the project sustainable and also making it fun for people because I love t-shirts and yeah we have a new design for a new t-shirt and hopefully people like it and buy it and most important I hope people like wear it. So when we release a t-shirt, what I like to people is like not only buy it but like post pictures of it
Mhm.
when I see some people in an event with a t-shirt, I always like notice and I go to them and say, hey, it's cool t-shirt.
So Diego, I know that you've seen a lot of developers come and go
hmm
into the A-frame community. I know that
Yep.
you were there at the beginning as it was being formed, and then you've seen it evolve into something that seems much bigger than the original idea in some ways.
hmm
Um, how do you feel that the community has changed over time in terms of what they're bringing to the table, their experiences in the past, like compared to when you started? What are you seeing today that is new in that community?
So many changes, but I think the community still remains pretty grassroots, and yeah, it's individual developers that they show interest in the technology and they decide to get involved and they will just want to create something and share it with the world instantaneously on the web. It's one of the magic. It's part of the magic of the web. Like you can share anything, you tweet about your link, and everybody can see it instantaneously. And the community remains like the spirit of the community remains pretty much the same, but we've seen like a hardware evolution at the very beginning. Like TK1s were rare to come by, and Google released the original cardboard device, this piece of cardboard with two lenses that you could slide your phone in and do some basic VR. So we saw a lot of people getting into VR through those very cheap devices. And then as hardware became like more available and more affordable, we saw like the evolution of developers taking advantage of the capabilities of the new hardware. And today, finally, we have like very affordable and capable like 6DoF standalone headsets. And we see like developers going crazy, taking advantage of those new capabilities in hardware. Um, so yeah, the community and the content we see evolve as the hardware evolve, and but I think the spirit of the community remains the same. I don't know if this answers your question.
Sure, completely.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Along those lines, I know that I think since I started tracking WebVR
hmm
and now WebXR, I've always been impressed that the A-frame community is just rapidly iterating. Every time I glance back, it seems like there's somebody working on a whole new category of component for the framework, or they're
hmm
doing something that nobody intended originally. It just wasn't an expected use case. So looking forward a little bit, what are the sort of extensions or evolutions that you expect the A-frame platform to take as we go into the next 2 or 3 years?
Yeah. So my goal is always like as soon as there's a new device uh, available, I just want to incorporate as fast as I can. So give it like an opportunity for anybody in the community to experiment. So I like to always be on top of new devices and also new APIs. Nothing has worked really well like the communication with different browser vendors and different developers at different companies has been very nice. So whenever I see or read about a new spec, I just reach out, hey, when are you planning to release this new API? And then they give me all the info, and then I can anticipate and have the code prepared so the community can benefit as fast as possible. So yeah, it's continuing that process. It's like, oh, we want to AFrame to be the playground for all new devices that come into the immersive space.
New hardware, definitely. All the library sort of developers that I talk to there, it's obviously sort of a constant churn of new hardware. Actually, I think just recently WebXR in Edge on HoloLens 2 is, it's no longer behind a flag. It's not in the developer preview. Like when you get a HoloLens 2 now, you just get Edge that has full featured WebXR. And, it's one of those things where I think a lot of library writers, that's very different than an opaque VR headset. And so changing the library so that they handle see-through immersive AR in addition to sort of the opaque displays of VR headsets is one of the things that they're just on top of. And I've been really impressed with the community.
Yeah, you have new hardware, and also you have new APIs that expose existing capabilities of the existing hardware. And so recently we have the hand tracking API that the Oculus browser released. I've seen like some interesting work happening on for mobile-based AR. There's a new raw camera API that is going to expose the camera feed to applications. So we can do computer vision on device. So that's I'm thinking about how to incorporate that in AFrame, and we can expose that functionality in a way that is usable for the community. Yeah.
Oh, interesting, right? So it's not just the physical devices that change; it's the access to those physical devices that change as well.
There's more and more capabilities that were only available for native applications that are now exposed to the web too. And we have to incorporate those in the AFrame APIs.
Interesting. Along the lines of sort of higher level capabilities, I know that there's been some releases for networking libraries like Normcore, which is a big Unity-based multi-user replication library. I know they announced recently that they are porting a lot of their code over so that it can be used in the context of the web. Do you see some of these sort of not hardware specific and not really definitely specific to a single use case, but do you see any of these sort of higher level but big chunks of capabilities coming down the line for AFrame?
So the network AFrame is one of the largest communities. So AFrame community like grows so much that you can find even like sub communities within AFrame. And one of the largest and most active communities within the AFrame community is the network AFrame. It's a network AFrame is a component to do real-time applications. And Mozilla Hubs started using network AFrame. I think they have their own fork right now with a lot of modifications on top, but they started using network AFrame.
Got it.
And there's a super active community on that space. That I know Normcore, so it's kind of like they overlap. But yes, what you mentioned, like Normcore it's more like a Unity prefab or plugin for native applications, and we can say that network AFrame is the equivalent of Normcore, but for AFrame and WebXR.
I see.
Yeah.
Are there other big chunks like that? The one that springs to mind is like a common digital body system with that does all the sort of hard work of converting the raw tracking information and the raw sort of hand API input information and the upcoming standards for facial expression tracking, things like that. Is the AFrame community sort of working on a common standard for another big chunk like that, even if it's not specifically digital bodies?
Like facial tracking, as far as I know, there's no API still exposing the browser to do facial tracking? Is what you meant, like facial tracking or other things like?
I was just talking about it. Body tracking is one example, but and network and replication is another example. But these sort of higher level chunks that everyone who wants to do a certain kind of application has to implement. I mean, that's the bread and butter of AFrame, right? Is making it so that you can just very easily plug in these big sort of capabilities.
Yeah, there's several libraries that have been popular over time to do gesture recognition or incorporate like for example hand input. So we've seen like right now kind of things are consolidating to the 6DoF input controllers, but as we evolved, like we had 3DoF controllers with the Oculus Go, and at the same time we had the Oculus Touch or the Vive controllers that were 6DoF. And now we also have hand tracking. So there's been like libraries like Super Hands, for example, that tries to expose like an API that aggregates all these different inputs and through a common API. So you can easily incorporate in your applications. Another of the big communities that grow in popularity recently is the AR community. That is kind of like there's several solutions that coexist, because WebXR, the AR extensions or AR modules for WebXR are still not, is mostly an Android thing so far. So if you want to cover iOS devices, then you have to use different solutions. And like ARJS and AFrame combined, so they allows you to do AR, marker-based AR, and geolocated AR too. And that you can do in a cross-platform manner because you have a location API both on iOS and Chrome, and you have access to the camera in both operating systems. So you can do some basic computer visions to recognize markers. So the ARJS community is another of those sub-communities within AFrame focused on AR. That's another example.
What would you like to see from the wider community, the browser implementation teams, the library, some of the lower level library teams, the tool chain people who are doing things like WebAssembly, in order to sort of bring AFrame to whatever you think sort of the next step is in its place in the immersive web, what would you like to see from those teams that would help your community get to where they need to go, where they want to go?
I want to move fast, and I'm very happy right now with the Oculus browser team. They're actually churning out like a lot of new APIs and releasing implementations really, really fast, because there's been always the impression like the web is always lagging behind. Like when there's a new capability on native, it takes years for the web to benefit from it, and I would like to reduce that gap. So the perception from the web is like, oh, like if there's a new feature on the hardware I want to use, the web is already there, ready to go if I want to use it and benefit from it.
Got it.
And Oculus browser, they've been like doing an excellent job as, okay, we have right now hand tracking, let's expose it to the web. Excellent job. And I would like all the rest of the browsers to actually match that speed. And I think overall the web ecosystem will be much healthier if we are able to evolve quicker.
For sure.
That's coming from the browser vendors. Like follow the example of the Oculus browser guys. But to be fair, like on the AR side of things, on the Chrome team has been doing like an excellent job too. I was mentioning the raw camera API, and they've been like exposing a lot of new capabilities on the AR side of things. But that's Chrome exclusive. So that's browser vendors is the main missing piece is Apple and iOS. And I hope the WebKit people embrace WebXR sooner than later, and then it will be the dream, right? We will be able to WebXR, the AR aspects of WebXR will be a reality once both Chrome and iOS are covered.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you making the time to talk to this community and for all of the work that you've done to date. You obviously have been instrumental in making the current boon of immersive web creators and tools happen. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for organizing. This is a lot of fun, and yeah, looking forward to see the rest of the sessions. It's gonna be fun.
Great.
Yeah, take care. Have a great day.
Excellent. We made it. We're on the far side.
You made it. Yeah,
Thank you for
nice
coming
to
back
see you.
in. And yeah, it's good to see you as well. Have you had a chance today to watch any of the sessions or see what everyone's up to?
I was hands down working on something, so I haven't had a chance to. I hope I can see the recordings later.
Yep, YouTube and Twitch, I think, will both have recording.
I upgraded my T-shirt game between the recording.
Oh yeah, look at that. Oh, very nice. Excellent.
Old school.
Well, it looks like we do have some questions from the audience. First question is, are there any plans to move more external components into the core of AFrame? For example, super hands with a controller input abstraction layer.
Not at the moment. Like AFrame core goal is to be as small as possible to keep the code quality as high as possible as well. And the idea is that AFrame core provides the minimum basics to get you going, and then it relies on the community, the component community, for additional functionality. At the end of the day, it's a limited, as maintainers, it's a limited bandwidth that we have to maintain code. And at the end of the day, AFrame is a community project. So I think in the long term, if there's just like a few maintainers carrying the weight of the most important components, it's going to become a bottleneck. So it's much better kind of to distribute the load and so we can help each other to grow the ecosystem.
Which is one of the upsides of it being structured as a component system. I think that's one of the reasons AFrame has picked up so much from compared to other toolkits where it doesn't fall on just one person to do it all. You've created an extensible framework.
It looks exactly. Like so one side is the personal stress and responsibility, and the other side is kind of there's only 24 hours in a day, so people end up becoming a bottleneck. Yep. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
It looks like a lot of people in the audience have upvoted the question of where can they get that shirt? Where did that come from?
The T-shirt, it's the first time I wear it. This T-shirt was sent to me by a friend. I don't know where they got the image or anything. So I can give you his contact if you wanna ask him.
Where can they go to get the AFrame shirts? I think I've seen 2 or 3 of them show up on the stream earlier today. Various versions of the AFrame shirts.
So go to Cotton Bureau. I think I pinned the tweet on the AFrame AVR account. So yeah, go to the Twitter AFrame VR account, and I think it should be at the top. It's the Cotton Bureau link, or I can provide the link. I don't know if you're gonna share some notes about the session. I can provide the link so people can find it later.
We can tweet it out after the event. For sure. Yep. I would love to encourage people to support the AFrame project via T-shirt and code.
Yeah, and GitHub sponsors. If you have some dollars to spare, everything will be appreciated. Yeah.
And so we covered it a little bit in the session, but I just, one of the common themes of today is about looking forward a few years. And so one thing I wonder is, in 5 years' time, when you look back on what we as the community have done and what we have enabled, what would you like to be able to say that the community pulled together and really made happen in order to get the immersive web where it needs to be?
Sorry, I think, can you repeat the last part? I think.
Yeah, like if in 5 years' time, if you're looking back to today or the next year or so,
okay.
What do you hope that the immersive web community as a whole does to make the immersive web the place that you want it to be personally.
Yeah, in 5 years from now, I hope we have much better content and much better tools. Yeah, like AFrame is just a stepping stone for the next thing. And what I want to see in 5 years, more people creating content. Not only creating content, but content that is used by others. Because yeah, we need both the content and we need both the users to make a sustainable ecosystem. And I think yeah, like I hope we can make tools much better that brings much more developers to participate. Yeah, I think it's gonna be it's a necessity because right now I think VR development in particular is still kind of depends too much on video game development skill set, and if you can provide like higher level tools to create content, it's going to be more more accessible for more people. And I hope we can say that in 5 years time.
It looks like we have another audience question.
Yeah.
When components are added to AFrame by the community and there's a new revision of AFrame, a major update, are the components generally backwards compatible?
Not necessarily. I think there's some ideas to improve the versioning of AFrame to make sure that people understand when there's a potential breaking change and whatnot. I think we can do a better job on that front. But yeah, components. So AFrame relies on 3JS, and 3JS moves very, very quickly, and there's often times where all the APIs are deprecated, and if components rely on that API, then it's gonna break. So is the backwards compatibility is not guaranteed, but on our side, we have to make a better job communicating what those breaking changes can happen. So yeah, like for example, like having like using like minors and major versions of AFrame in a way that people expect, right? Like a major version could bring like breaking changes. A minor version is kind of bug fixes and small improvements. I don't know if that's answered your question.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, right. It's the.
Yeah.
I think all of the frameworks have this balance, is that the underlying structures are moving so quickly that at the same time that backwards compatible is obviously important, and breaking people's apps is obviously not the goal. But on the other hand, there are these new capabilities and new even just shapes of APIs that are changing out from underneath the frameworks, and so you do what you can.
Yeah, we're also in a time like, yeah, exactly. We do what we can, and also people doing VR today, they have to remember that those are early days, and we are figuring things out still. So there's a lot of churn, and I don't know, like patience is a virtue, and I do what I can, and if people have ideas to improve, and also in the open source community, it's kind of you have like a bunch of like a ecosystem of components, an ecosystem of maintainers, and yeah, people. There's only a few people that are full-time working on this. So yeah, we have to also be patient and understand like, yeah, like if a component breaks, there might take some time for the maintainer to have some bandwidth and actually fix it.
I saw one question.
Open source, you can always help.
Yes, that's the chorus of open source, is PRs are welcome.
Yeah. Yeah, always.
So I did see a question scroll by about Super Medium. What's happening with Super Medium?
Well, Super Medium is we're still working. We have something brewing. We'll be announcing probably next week. Yeah, so well, you'll know soon.
Oh, we're just a little bit too early. But okay.
Yeah. It's we are gonna it's something web based, something using AFrame. And still, like, we are going, like, want to make sure that everyone can use it. So from any screen, any device. So we are not focusing on VR this first iteration, but in the roadmap is we are planning to add VR and AR features to it. But at the beginning, we wanna make it as accessible as possible to everyone.
That's great. I look forward to next week. It looks like in the comments, in the questions rather, we have more around long-term support. Yeah, I think it looks like the community is definitely interested in things like long-term support versions to target. I think it's a common refrain, I think, for every framework, right, is that how do we move forward at the same time that we don't break everything that has gone before?
So if one thing that helps a lot, like creating a new library or a new piece of or a new component is hard, but it's very fulfilling. Like maintaining something long term is a really hard job. Like I would say, it's 10 times harder because like at the beginning you have all this steam, but after a few years, kind of like your interests diverge. So it's very hard, like, to be consistent. So all the love that you can give to your maintainers, all the praise, and treat them well, and I'm sure it will be helpful. It will contribute indirectly to the quality of the code and the maintenance.
For sure, yeah. I think that's a big difference I've seen between AFrame, many of the other frameworks that are out there, and frankly, frameworks that I have written and abandoned, is that the AFrame team has done, I think, which is a great job of maintenance and building it in such a way that it can be maintained. Both of those are very specific skills that I think are rare to find, and the existence of them has been one of the things that's led to AFrame's uptick. So thank you.
Being there over time and maintaining is hard. It's hard.
Bless the maintainers. I think that's the other refrain of open source projects is PRs are welcome and thank your maintainers.
Nice back reports. Help with asking questions on Slack and Stack Overflow. All those things add up. We have there's a bunch of people, like, they're very active on Stack Overflow, and that's been, like, very, very helpful to make the AFrame more welcoming, because a lot of frequently asked questions, they pop up on Google searches.
Oh, I see. That's one of the ways that the people enter the community is through Google searches that land on Stack Overflow.
Yeah, when you get stuck, you can always go to Slack or Discord, but it's much better if you can find the answer to your own question on Google. Much better, much faster.
Great. Well, thank you so much, both for showing up to do the earlier recording and for showing up again today to take questions. I think that it's great having the
thank you so much for organizing
the foundations of the immersive web here to talk, and I definitely think you're one of those people.
That's great. Thank you for organizing. It's a lot of fun. Let me know anything I can do to help.